It's all going to zero against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. We're your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, cover breaking news, culture, matic warfare. We'll be your guide through the separation of money and state. Today we're going to break it down. Vanguard going on MSNBC, basically saying that they are not going to allow their customers to buy the Bitcoin ETF. The reasonings, the reasons that the CEO said don't quite make sense. I tweeted this out, over the weekend when I saw that interview. I said, this guy is going to get fired for this, 3 or 4 years down the road, as number go up technology does its thing. And I think, their clients are going to be very upset. I think they're going to capitulate way before that. I think market forces are what market forces are. The example that I always bring up is initially when PayPal started to offer Bitcoin, they didn't allow Bitcoin withdrawals. And within 6 months, because of Cash App's volume, they were forced to add Bitcoin withdrawals, right? And allowing people to take self-custody. Not to mention, it wasn't only PayPal, it was Robinhood as well. So if your competitors are offering a better service, as a company, for you to survive, you're going to have to compete, right? So I think that's a momentary thing. And another thing, we're also going to go through Cathie Wood's investment newsletter. She sent this out a while ago, but I really believe if you are to take into account what Michael Saylor said were the 3 things that were necessary for Bitcoin to 10x from here, for Bitcoin to potentially hit $5 million per coin one day, which was the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF, the change in the FASB accounting rules, making it a lot easier for companies to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and for large banks to offer services to their clients to custody Bitcoin. Basically, the first 2 things already happened, and the third thing, banks all over the world, not only in the United States, are applying for those licenses. So we're going to give you a Bitcoin ETF update. What is Bitcoin Twitter saying? What are they talking about? And of course, during the culture segment, we have some very, very special guests today. We have the fellas from Bitcoin Day Naples. We have John. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Simply Bitcoin. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Glad to be here.
Happy to have you guys on the show. And of course, my legendary co-host, he is always optimistic. He has a smirk today. Not a full-fledged smile, but a smirk. How you doing, Opti?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Another day in paradise. Doing what we love. This is awesome.
No suit today. What's going on?
Dude, I don't even own a suit, bro. I'm wearing a nice cashmere sweater. It's snowing outside. It's a little colder today, so I'm trying to stay warm,
Okay. Fair enough.
But on that note, Nico, maybe I have to actually buy a suit now. You guys are trolling me. I literally got bullied on Friday into buying a suit and tie. Like, this is where we are in the cycle. I'm getting bullied to wear a suit now.
I mean, just Rustin during the Simply Bitcoin Originals, man. He's looking fly. People are really liking the tie. They're really liking that, that cleaned up look.
We're professionals now.
So we just got to keep stepping up our game, Opti. It looks like.
Apparently so. Hey, we don't have a problem with the cold down here, Opti. We're 75 degrees and sunny. It's a nice day today.
I'm actually jealous right now.
Yeah, it's
come on down to Bitcoin Day Naples and enjoy the sunshine.
Exactly. You could always, the Florida weather is just absolutely amazing year round. I always tell people, look, it's either really hot and then there's like about a month or so where it's like not as hot. That's pretty much the seasons. There are no seasons. It's just hot and then not so hot. But anyways, guys, we have a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a hell of a show. Excited for this one. Let's get it started. Let's get it rolling. Here we go. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's try this one.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure. Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. Before we jump into it, if you're enjoying the show, make sure to smash that like button. Really helps with the YouTube algos. Also, I'm making it incredibly easy for you guys. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now. It'll take you directly to the Stamp Seed website. You can use the promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their website. Don't store your generational wealth on paper, store it on titanium. All right, guys, at the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 42,620. Sats per dollar, 2,346. Block height, 825,909. Blocks to halving, 14,091. Halving estimate April 20th, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,817 Bitcoin. Capacity value, 205 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation, 1.75%. The market cap of Bitcoin, $835 billion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 6.07%. That's going to continue to go up. The day that crosses 100% and it's sitting pretty at like 110%, 125%, I think that's going to be a really good day. Anyways, Wall Street is advertising for Bitcoin and they continue to drop ads, essentially. Here's one from BlackRock. And let's take a look at their marketing. Let's check it out. Here we go.
Digital asset adoption has significantly accelerated over the past decade, with profound implications for the future of finance. Bitcoin is the original cryptocurrency to gain global adoption and has continued to maintain its dominance despite thousands of others coming into existence. You might have noticed Bitcoin make its way into our everyday lives, from Bitcoin ATMs to various merchants accepting Bitcoin as payment, further driving interest in what the future holds for the cryptocurrency. Investors have taken notice, as institutions and individual investors alike have been adopting Bitcoin into their investment portfolios, with some viewing it as a potential store of value and others as a potential game changer in how money moves around the world. But for many investors, holding Bitcoin directly can be complex. That's why we launched IBIT, the iShares Bitcoin Trust, an ETF that provides investors convenient exposure to Bitcoin. Here are 3 things to know about IBIT. Access. IBIT enables investors to access Bitcoin within a traditional brokerage account, just like stocks, bonds, and other ETFs. Convenience. IBIT can help remove operational burdens associated with trading and holding Bitcoin directly, as well as potentially high trading costs and tax reporting complexities. Quality. IBIT is built by BlackRock, a leading ETF firm with expertise across ETFs and a history of innovation. It is a new day for Bitcoin. Access IBIT through your online brokerage or discuss with your financial planner to find out how IBIT can fit into your portfolio. Visit www.ishares.com to view a prospectus, which includes investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information that you should read and consider carefully before investing.
Very cookie cutter, very straight to the point. They're really taking this seriously. And if you actually go to the BlackRock website right now, it's literally on the front page, ladies and gentlemen. Introducing IBIT, the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. It is, if you go to blackrock.com, right there on the front page, and it's literally telling you what's going on. So they're taking this very seriously, this rollout. And of course, this wouldn't be, this wouldn't be happening if there wasn't, a market need, if people weren't asking for this. Here's the VanEck ETF. VanEck has by far my favorite ticker. The ticker is HODL. I think also by the way, I think the accounts followed the Simply account on Twitter, so shout out to those guys. But they're also apparently giving a percentage of what they make off the spot Bitcoin ETF fees, and they're giving that back to open source software developers, right? So that's crazy. And this kind of goes to this narrative that I think Bitcoiners have been propagating for a while, and I actually tweeted this out a couple months ago, which is I said, Wall Street thinks it's going to change Bitcoin, but in reality, it's going to be Bitcoin that changes Wall Street, right? No one's better than their incentives. And I think Bitcoin has the best incentives, right? Anyways, and I think fiat has the worst incentives, which I think it brings out the worst in people, brings out the worst of these institutions. That's why Bitcoiners fundamentally believe that if you fix the money, you fix the world. Anyway, so here is Venex's latest, Bitcoin ETF commercial. Let's check it out. Like, that is totally a conversation that would happen, right? How can I be a Bitcoin? It's easy now. There are ETFs. Search the ticker HODL in your brokerage account. So obviously, I got to say that these advertisements are tailored towards, the older generation, specifically, I would say the Gen X generation, the Boomer generation. And those are the generations that have the lion's share of the world's wealth. So I think this is a total game changer. I think that if Wall Street is coming in and they're spending millions of dollars on advertising, they're definitely taking this very, very seriously. But I want to pass it on to you two gentlemen. John, you're a hardcore Bitcoiner, man. You don't need an ETF. I know you by now. So what are your thoughts on these commercials? Do you think that they're effective? Do you think that they're going to convince, family and friends around you that perhaps aren't hardcore Bitcoiners like yourself?
Yeah, well, I think it's an important step in our goal of mass adoption of Bitcoin, and all these institutional investors and family offices. They have been, constrained by the regulatory environment, and this gives them the option to at least have some Bitcoin in their portfolio, and not necessarily have it in self custody, but that's just a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Gotcha. What about you, Jack? What are your thoughts on all this?
It's pretty fascinating to see it, and I got to just give you the anecdote. Like I have a neighbor who, maybe as far as like 2 weeks ago, that's way back in history, of course. And I mentioned something about Bitcoin. She's like, "Oh yeah, that's that guy that went to jail for that thing, that FTX bit, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's that kind of thing." And then a week or so goes by, and all of a sudden, I think she saw an ad somewhere. I can't remember what it was. And then she's like, "Oh, they're recommending a certain percentage of my portfolio all of a sudden." And she's a boomer type and a kind of a cool traveler of the world and stuff. And yet she hadn't really been exposed to it at all, other than what the media had been throwing down. So I guess I'm feeling like it's kind of a cool thing, I guess, that some of the awareness comes up, even though I have a feeling that it's just going to be propaganda style, misdirection, always sort of tailored to kind of answer to or I guess direct people or steer them out into a particular corner, which may or may not be the spot to go.
Yeah, and I think as Bitcoiners, we really have that responsibility to, tell people that, Bitcoin, not ETF, right? And I think, and it wasn't my words. I think there's a Corey Clipson, CEO of Swan, actually said this. I think basically that the ETF, and I actually tweeted this out too, I made a meme out of it, that the ETF is really like a Trojan horse, right? I think that it gets people's foot in the door. It gets people comfortable holding the asset. But I think it's also going to make you start to ask questions, right? Because if you have the ability to self-custody it, you don't have to pay those fees, right? Those fees you don't have to pay anymore. There is no counterparty risk. There isn't a risk of the U.S. government if it gets in a pickle or you have a hostile administration. There is no risk of a spontaneous executive order. This has happened in the past with gold, right? That, you know, could confiscate all that Bitcoin, could seize all that Bitcoin. If you take self-custody, you don't have that counterparty risk. And I think as Bitcoiners, we do have that responsibility to really beat that battle drum and really get it into the minds of everyone, not, you know, just every generation, right? But I think this is I think this is a net positive. That might be unpopular with a lot of Bitcoiners, because a lot of Bitcoiners are like, no, Nico, these ETFs, they're demons. They're spawned from hell. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to potentially give the generation that has the lion's share of the wealth right now exposure to number go up technology, and I think that's a good thing in my opinion. Opti, what's your take on all this?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I just want to, as content creators, I want to talk about the content first and foremost. And man, like the BlackRock video, it's so cookie cutter and corporate and just like boring, but it just amazes me that that's the type of content that gives people, I don't know, security and they feel good about investing in a product. But so, hey, look, you know, we're hitting this on all angles, and shouts out to Vanek. I think they really know how to put out a good ad. And you can see from that little video that who their ideal audience is. It's definitely, you know, like our parents and people that have, you know, their money in traditional finance. And another little anecdote, I did talk to my dad yesterday, and he's a boomer. He always kind of tells me about like the silver prices moving up, and he has gold, and, you know, so he knows a little bit about hard money and at least some investments. And he was asking me, he's like, yo, what's this like? I even think he said it wrong. He's like, what's this like SEEC stuff going on right now? And I was talking about the spot Bitcoin ETF and how this kind of gives us some sense of legitimacy and opening up so much capital to finally flow into Bitcoin. And after like, you know, a minute of just me kind of explaining it, he understood what we understand. It's like, wow, okay, like this is going to open up so much capital coming into Bitcoin. And like John said, this is just the first steps. Like, yes, people want exposure to Bitcoin. Most people out there just kind of want the number go up, price appreciation. And then slowly but surely, people will either through hard lessons or just kind of curiosity will understand that, oh, wait, I don't need to just get exposure through Bitcoin. Yes, as the BlackRock video said, this does give them some convenience in actually holding Bitcoin, and of course opens up the avenues for them to get their capital into Bitcoin through traditional financial means. I think more and more people will want to hold Bitcoin directly, even if it's just a small amount of their capital, will eventually get into cold storage. Right now, this is just the first steps. This is just so people can get exposure to Bitcoin. This is kind of like what you're seeing with that BlackRock video. That it's just like kind of, I don't know, whetting their appetite for what Bitcoin is and showing that, oh, hey, okay, it is safe for me to invest in Bitcoin. It is an okay investment. If BlackRock is looking at Bitcoin, not only does it mean that their customers want Bitcoin, but that it is actually a vehicle for them to put money into it. So I think this is all good. Of course, as Bitcoiners, we want people holding Bitcoin. We want people transacting with Bitcoin directly peer-to-peer. But I think this is just the first steps of this. And again, this is all good for Bitcoin. And we knew this was going to happen. Like, if Bitcoin can't withstand Wall Street, what are we even doing here? This was an inevitability as far as I'm concerned.
100%. I completely agree with you. You know, all roads lead to Bitcoin. This is inevitable. You know, it was BlackRock that bent the knee. Vanguard is next. And then nation states. It's going to be crazy. That's because Bitcoin's incentives are superior to everything else. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the news. We have a lot to talk about today. Let's check it out. Here we go. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor. Have you ever wanted to get into Bitcoin mining and don't know where to start? That's why I want to introduce you to Scott's Build a Mine Bootcamp. He will show you how to build your own Bitcoin mine, how to get the project funded, how to get your facility filled with miners as quickly as possible. With a little luck, and by putting all his techniques and strategies to work that he's developed mining Bitcoin for the last 6 years, you could be mining 5 million Satoshis per day or 0.05 Bitcoin in less than 3 months. On the free webinar, he will give you a high-level roadmap that will help you get on your way to building, owning, and operating your own Bitcoin mining farm. Begin your mining journey today. Register for the free webinar now. Click the link in the description of the video below or contact Scott directly on Telegram using his handle @OfferedScott and learn how to mine those precious, precious Satoshis.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, guys, we have to talk about today. And before we do that, I made it super easy for you guys. Scan the QR code right now. It'll take you directly to the Foundation Devices website. You can get yourself a Passport hardware wallet. Remember, guys, not your keys, not your cheese. All right, everybody. So it's two different stories. It's really two different stories from the largest asset managers in the world, right? You have Vanguard with 7.2 trillion assets under management, and then you have BlackRock with 9.1 trillion, right? So, and the CEOs are talking two different things. They're saying two different things. They're approaching Bitcoin differently. But I think market incentives are going to do what market incentives do. Here's the latest, one of the latest interviews with Larry Fink on Fox Business. Let's check out what he has to say for Bitcoin. I know you can't call Larry Fink a Bitcoiner, but you know what's the famous saying, right? The enemy of your enemy is your friend. He's talking the talk. He's making the case as to why, Bitcoin is a good thing. So anyways, I'm going to play you guys the video and then we'll talk about it.
I see that the minute Larry Fink put his imprimatur on this, he was going to explain. You don't have to take credit for it. But I don't. Is it you that pushed this? Because Gensler hates it. I mean, they were dragging the feet of the big.
There are still a lot of people who hate it. So, but
Gensler still hates it apparently.
So I'm not going to talk about Gary, but. But I did believe, and it still remains, and this is Gary's position, that it's still one of the vehicles for illicit activity. So I think no one can deny that. Where I came around to it, and I came around to a different interpretation 3 years ago, that there's a lot of merit to it. There's a lot of opportunity. It is a great store, and this is where you can debate. Is it a good store?
Do you know how it's made? A bunch of computers figure out.
But the issue is people believe that it can be an asset that can be crossed border. And let's be clear, if you're in a country where you're fearful of your government, and maybe this is one of the reasons why China has banned it. Mm-hmm. If you're in a government where if you're in a country where you're fearful of your future, fearful of your government, or you're frightened that your government is devaluing its currency by too much deficits,
like us.
I'm not going to go there.
The little elf in the room.
You could say this is a great potential long-term store of value. And as I said, it's like digital gold. And I believe,
but you still can't buy a slice of pizza with it. Isn't it kind of odd that word?
But you can't buy a price of pizza with palladium or gold.
No, but you can do stuff with them. I can get stuff with. I mean, people use gold for stuff, right?
But you can buy and sell your Bitcoin, no different than gold. So it is very.
But gold is put in like jewelry, and iPhones. I think there's in some electronics there's
more silver.
But you see what I'm saying? There are practical uses. Bitcoin, it's literally a ledger.
It is a ledger, but it's an international ledger. It's cross-border. It's bigger than any government.
I agree with you. It would have blown up, I believe, in FTX, and it didn't after FTX.
There's a lot of bad players in all startup things, and this was a great example. And I think it's now becoming more legitimatized.
Right.
I think the advent of Bitcoin ETFs is an example that we're legitimizing it. We're creating more safe.
Well, let me ask you this. Will you do another ETF? How about an XRP ETF? I know you got.
Oh, okay. Well, and the answer to that, obviously, based on Larry Fink's word, and sorry, not Larry Fink, Gary Gensler's wording and whatever, is that, you know, all these altcoins are considered, you know, securities and whatnot. So I think that's a higher, you know, uphill battle. And as much as Gary Gensler did not want this ETF to be approved, he's admitted publicly in the past that Bitcoin is not considered a security in his eyes. Anyways, the fact that you had the Fox Business anchor on the side of anti-Bitcoin, and then you had Larry Fink, who is the CEO of the largest asset manager in the world, $9.1 trillion assets under management. And he's making the case that Bitcoiners have been making for years now. If you live in a country with a totalitarian regime, he didn't say the quiet part out loud, though. If you live in a country with high inflation, right? He talks about it being digital gold. He talks about it being, you know, a way to maintain your value, right? He was protecting it. He was advocating for it, right? And at the end of the day, is it because Larry Fink's a hardcore Bitcoiner? Do I think Larry Fink is taking self-custody himself and he owns the stash? Absolutely not. But this is Bitcoin's irresistible incentives doing what Bitcoin's irresistible incentives do. So this is massive. Like, I can't say that enough. The fact that it's Larry Fink, okay, ladies and gentlemen, and one of the most influential, powerful people in the world, which is one of the reasons, by the way, that the ETF got approved in the first place. I think if you look at it statistically, like it's like 300 ETF submissions by BlackRock and only one got denied. Like, you know, BlackRock like owns a large percentage of every stock, publicly traded stock. This guy has tremendous influence. And the fact that he's on TV advocating for Bitcoin is a really, really, really big deal. Let's take a look at this. Here's NBK. NBK is the CEO and founder of CoinKite. I think they make a cold card. And he goes on to say, the Wall Street boys are going to stack harder than you think, and they are used to robbing retail blind, right? Here, BlackRock already looks like they have purchased a considerable amount of Bitcoin, $500 million. And of course, you know, they have a small cash position as well. Apparently, I think it's around 10,000 Bitcoin or so, around there. But I will say this, and I think a lot of people were expecting, and you know, a lot of people on Bitcoin Twitter, including Bitcoiners, were like, once this gets approved, the price of Bitcoin is going to go to 60K. I think they ran this thing. I think that explains the run up from, I think we were like 26K and then we went all the way to 45K. You want to know why we did that? I think it's because they ran it. I think that they knew that this was going to get approved, and I think insiders, you know, were buying Bitcoin on the run up, and then it kind of became, to be honest with you guys, I know people were expecting the opposite. It did become a sell the news event, right? We did drop from like 48K, and now we're holding steady at $42,617, right? Here is Invest Answers. He has the specifics. It says BlackRock took 11,500 Bitcoin from supply in 2 days. 900 Bitcoin are issued daily, and you could see BlackRock's move into their cash supply from last night into Bitcoin, buying the dip. Now they mostly hold Bitcoin. The key point is 11,500 Bitcoin were sucked from the system in 2 days by one player. That alone is approximately 13 days of the supply. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't emphasize how important this part is. And the reason for that is because in any other, like, you know, commodity, like if you're talking about gold or silver or any of those players, if the price of gold or silver goes up, a lot of gold miners and silver miners are going to ramp up their operations to meet up that new demand. But because of Bitcoin, the way it's designed, because of the halving, right? This is just before the halving, right? Even if people wanted more Bitcoin, every 4 years, roughly that supply gets cut in half. And you kind of understand how bonkers things can get very quickly. No other asset on planet Earth has that. That is unique to Bitcoin. No matter how much demand there is, it does not matter. The issuance gets cut in half every 4 years until the year 2140. And that's it. You can't manipulate that. You can't change that. With gold, there's asteroids floating around in the asteroid belt that, you know, theoretically scientists say have trillions of dollars within them, right? I guarantee you there's no asteroids floating around in outer space with trillions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. But there's been different approaches by different asset managers, right? So here's Fidelity. Fidelity is one of the only companies that offered the ETF that is taking self-custody. The vast majority of them are using Coinbase as custody. And then I think one is using Gemini. Here's Bitcoin Archive. He says Fidelity is calling customers already exposed to Bitcoin related securities to address any questions about Bitcoin ETFs. So that's how Fidelity is approaching it. But there is one holdout, and we were talking about it, the Vanguard Group. So BlackRock and Vanguard are the largest asset managers in the world. If you take a look at any corporation and you take a look at who their shareholders are, you can make a really big bet that BlackRock and Vanguard are large shareholders of those companies. So if you're talking about Netflix, Amazon, Apple, doesn't matter. BlackRock and Vanguard owns a percentage of them, right? They're the only ones that are like, no, we're not going to offer this to our customers. In fact, here's the CEO on CNBC. When I read this, I got a certain reaction. I said, I don't mean ill will on anybody, but I really believe that he'll get fired for this fatal decision a couple years from now. I don't think Vanguard's clients are going to be okay with this once Number Go Up Tech does its thing and they weren't given access. And there's a reason that I said that based on what his reasoning was behind essentially not allowing Vanguard clients to buy this ETF. Let's check it out.
Of ETFs. And there's been a lot of discussion over the past few weeks about potentially a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency ETFs. Are you exploring it? Do you plan to open one? Are you going to apply to open one? And what do you think of a Bitcoin ETF as an investment tool for your customers?
Tyler, we won't be pursuing a Bitcoin ETF. Just like we don't use gold as an asset class for our clients. So it's not that people can't invest in there. We just look at asset classes for, what belongs in a long-term portfolio, what has intrinsic value, has cash flows to it. And those are the asset classes we steer people towards. And so we don't go towards Bitcoin or gold or any other of those stable assets.
So, I mean, interesting. Here's American HODL. He had a statement. He says, we're going to break Vanguard Group inside of a month. If you have owned any Vanguard products, sell them. If you have a Vanguard account, close it. No quarter. I agree. Neil Jacobs said it publicly that he was going to be closing his Vanguard account. Here is Cathie Wood. She is the CEO of Ark Invest. And she had some thoughts about, this quote unquote terrible decision by Vanguard. Let's check out what she has to say.
Cathie, I want to ask you about one institution that still doesn't want anything to do with these products, and that's Vanguard, which told us in a statement that the spot Bitcoin ETF will not be available for purchase on the Vanguard platform. And we're talking about an institution with $7 trillion under management. What do you make of that decision?
Well, consider the source, of course. I think it's a terrible decision. I think it's a strategic blunder. And what Vanguard is doing is basically saying, the world's not going to change. These new financial rails are not going to be successful. We're still going to have 7 middlemen between merchants and consumers, each one taking a toll. And we just don't think that's going to prove correct. Truth always wins out. Innovation solves problems. There's a lot of friction in the financial system. And we believe that Bitcoin, blockchain technology generally are going to take a lot of the friction out of the system. The other reason I think this is a terrible mistake is, they're going to deprive the investors who stay with them of really the first global, decentralized, private, no government oversight, rules-based, critical phrase there, monetary policy, monetary system in history. My mentor, Art Laffer, you may know him from the Laffer curve. He's also a monetary scholar. He said, this is what I have been waiting for 50 years since they closed the gold window in 1971.
That is an absolute mic drop from Cathie Wood. Absolutely slaying it. That quote that she said, they're going to deprive the investors from the first global decentralized private, no government oversight, rules-based monetary policy, monetary system in history. And you want to know why Elizabeth Warren is so hell-bent against this? It's because of this, right? No government oversight. If Bitcoin proves that it is a superior money, it is a superior a superior asset without government oversight, it leads you to a question, which is, what is the role of government in my life? And I think that is a very, very difficult question that they don't even want to have asked of them, right? They don't want to have to be pushed into a corner and have to answer the question, why does my money have to decrease in purchasing power over time? Right. So is Vanguard taking a political stance? Did the Vanguard CEO get a call from the Biden administration? Did the Vanguard CEO get a call from Elizabeth Warren? I don't know, but I think market forces are going to do what market forces do best. And I think Vanguard's going to fold on this. Okay, so I do want to end it with this, ladies and gentlemen. This is Cathie Wood's predictions based on the global adoption of Bitcoin for what the price of Bitcoin could be, the price target by 2030, right? So her bear case is $258,000 Bitcoin. Her base case is $682,000 Bitcoin. And her bull case is $1.48 million Bitcoin. And the assumptions for that is that Bitcoin captures a percentage of corporate treasuries, it becomes a remittance asset, it becomes a nation state treasury asset, it becomes an emerging market currency, economic settlement layer, seizure resistant asset, institutional investment, digital gold. I think, based on where we are now, what just happened, I think Bitcoin's going to absolutely crush these numbers. And I think, these predictions, really this prediction that Cathie Wood is making, I think Bitcoin's going to blast through that. I think with this ETF approval, with the FASB accounting rules, I think we easily see $1 million Bitcoin, at the end of the decade. I wouldn't be surprised. Some people are even calling for 500. Samson Mao is like calling for $1 million Bitcoin this cycle, right? I don't know if that's going to happen. That's pretty aggressive, but we shall see. Anyways, I do want to get these gentlemen's thoughts. So John, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on Vanguard's hostile stance towards the Bitcoin ETF?
Well, I agree with you, Nico, that it's that the CEO is probably going to end up going down on this call. And but at the same time, I think there's this balance out there in the world that is there's the side that's pushing for Bitcoin adoption, and then there's the side of the Elizabeth Warrens that just really don't want this to happen. And part of me thinks that they're pushing so hard on the other side just to protect the banking system, because if on the one hand they're promoting Bitcoin ETFs and they're saying, hey, we now have a regulatory environment that allows institutions and everyone to hold Bitcoin, then there could easily be a let's use Larry Fink's words, a flight to quality, right? Everybody taking their money out of the bonds and moving them into Bitcoin. And so they have to do some pushback on the other side to keep all that generational wealth. They need to keep some of it in the banking system, and otherwise the banking system is just going to collapse.
100%. I agree with that. And I think that's why you have Jamie Dimon, testifying in front of Congress, basically saying, this is, Bitcoin's for money launderers and et cetera, et cetera. Even though we know that if you look at the actual numbers, 99% of illicit finance is done using the traditional financial system. I don't think it has to do with money laundering. I don't think it has to do with terrorism. I think it has to do with the fact that what you just said, John. I think that this is a threat to the traditional banking industry. And they would rather things stay where they are than allow some magic internet money to potentially take their place. And I think that's really why they're so hell-bent against it. Anyways, Jack, I do want to get your thoughts before we move on to Opti.
Well, yeah, I wanted to just mention, I'm a little bit more in the rogue camp, if you know what I'm saying. Thanks to our good friend Samantha, who's kind of newly waltzed into the scene. I'm trying to be very kind and polite. Samantha Leduc, I believe. I'm not sure how to say her name, but she has put out a position in a way, and I know many of you have already commented on that, a really fascinating thing, and it's kind of in tone with the way Vanguard is approaching things. They're just saying, no, you can't really talk us out of it. We're in charge. We're the state. We're the state and us. We are one and the same. I feel like that is the position that they're going to kind of stick with. It's their like ride or die kind of horse to take all the way into the sunset as long as they can, because they realize what a threat it is. But whether or not we can get Samantha or particular people to admit that remains to be seen.
100%. I think it's a really good take. Opti, how are you feeling about this, bro? I mean, look, you have Larry Fink on one hand, basically like, bro, do you think he's been watching Simply, dude? Because those talking points, dude.
No, because he's talking about tokenizing of he's financializing tokens and all this stuff.
Okay, so he's watching Bitcoin and then other, altcoin channels. Okay,
yeah,
he's watching Simply and then all other altcoin channels.
Yeah,
so
100%.
It's a tale of two different sides, right? You have the Vanguard CEO saying we're not going to offer this, and you have Larry Fink, the BlackRock CEO, saying, yeah, this is awesome, being a Bitcoin bull, advocating for it. So what are your thoughts? It's let's see who wins that race. He's gonna get there's gonna be consequences for the Vanguard CEO not offering this to his clients. I really do believe that. Like in 5 years from now, there's gonna be people with pitchforks outside that office saying like, what the hell? Like what happened here? This was a bad move. Anyways, what's your take, Opti?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, you guys probably know my take. I believe that market forces will take care of Vanguard, and of course, they are currently and will continue to get pressure from the customers that either want price exposure to Bitcoin, and then further, all the ETFs will probably get some more pressure to actually be able to get like kind and get the ETF and actually hodl Bitcoin directly. But I just think this is just a natural course of what we're seeing. And then shouts out to Jack bringing up Samantha, because I think that is a pretty good microcosm of the debate going on right now. A lot of people still believe in the Keynesian economics view that we need to be forced by a state to use money. And us Bitcoiners are basically on the opposite side, saying like, no, the separation of money and state is super important. And even Larry Fink said it himself. He basically said, what was it exactly? That it's bigger than government. It's outside of any single government. And this is what we love about Bitcoin, is that there is no single point of failure. There is no institution enforcing us to use Bitcoin. It is something that lives totally separate to any government and any financial system. And to us, that is a feature. And I think more people will learn about that importance of that single truth and fact about Bitcoin. And then I kind of want to touch on what, I don't know who the guy was and what show it was on, but man, that guy is hopefully he's just kind of playing the heel on the show. But XRP bag holder confirmed, just absolutely hilarious that he's talking about an XRP ETF and that he's using the like utility of Bitcoin FUD, like, we use gold for industrial purposes and Bitcoin is just a ledger. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly why we love Bitcoin. We want our money to simply be money. It doesn't need to have any utility besides the fact that it's able to store value, that it's able to transact freely anywhere around the world, 24/7, 365. To us, this is a feature. But again, you can just see how ingrained the Keynesian economics model is in traditional finance. And of course, we're not going to completely get into a Bitcoin standard overnight. We've been on a fiat standard for roughly about 100 years. So the thinking isn't going to just disappear in, one ETF approval. And again, maybe Larry Fink isn't a Bitcoin maxi like us, but he sure is saying a lot of the stuff we talk about, that Bitcoin is a store of value, that it is separate from a single government. And then on the price talk, Nico, we were wondering whether the spot Bitcoin ETF was going to be a sell the news moment, or, what I was kind of hoping that it was just going to rip Max Payne and everyone on Wall Street is going to be like, what in the hell is going on?
I think they front ran it, bro.
Well, not only did they front run it, but I did see a thread about the Grayscale ETF. And I think a lot of people are getting out of Grayscale and they dumped a lot of the coin that was in Grayscale on the market. I kind of agree. But also, it does seem like we're seeing a lot of capital shift around and people maybe aren't as hyped on the Grayscale ETF, and like the amount of Bitcoin that BlackRock is going to suck up into their ETF, or rather all these ETF, like it's absolutely incredible how much Bitcoin they bought. And then again, some other things that we heard from the Vanguard guy. He mentioned the quote unquote, there's no intrinsic value in Bitcoin. And as Keynesian or Austrian economists, we would say there is no intrinsic value in anything. Everything is subjective. But there was a point in that clip that I don't know if it was like a Freudian slip or what, but at the very end of that clip, he said
stable.
He said, right? we don't invest in anything that is a stable asset like gold and Bitcoin. And to us, that's like, we're like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, that's the beauty of Bitcoin, that it is a stable asset. You guys know what we say, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. The price volatility of Bitcoin is not that Bitcoin is volatile. It's that fiat currencies are volatile against Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is stable. We know the monetary policy. We know, TikTok next block, roughly every 10 minutes, a new block is made. And Bitcoin really is the stable asset. And, just to be kind of given the benefit of the doubt, maybe he is kind of thinking of the gold stable in price. Historically, it doesn't really move too much. Maybe that's what he's talking about. But I don't know. When I heard that, I'm like, wait, what? Like, he just wants to continue to give his customers riskier and riskier assets so that they make more money? Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, if someone heard that and understands Bitcoin, it's like, wait, so Bitcoin's a stable asset? Like, okay, maybe I want some. But again, I think market forces will take care of this. I keep getting reminded of the How Finney post that he posted long time ago about there will be full reserve Bitcoin banks, there will be fractional reserve Bitcoin banks, and the market will just have to figure out what they really want. As I 100%. Say, as a meme, the rug pulls will continue until morale improves. So until more and more people realize the importance of taking Bitcoin custody directly, this is the game we're going to be playing. And the ideologies are playing out in real time in the main stage. And you just love to see it. It just goes to show that there is still a lot of work educating people out there, and that we'll have a job for a little bit, Nico.
Yeah, we'll have it. We'll have a job until the world is totally orange pill. Speaking of orange pill, I do want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Bitcoin Evangelism, planting seeds for the decentralized revolution. We have 10 million people to orange pill. Bitcoin Evangelism, written by a good friend of mine, Brian DeMint, also with the Orange Pill app, is an absolute beast of a resource for orange pilling no coiners and altcoiners alike. So if you have that aunt or uncle or brother or father or mother that are they're not about it, maybe for Christmas, right, or for their birthday, give them a copy of Bitcoin Evangelism, and it really, really breaks Bitcoin down. Anyways, I also do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. Of course, I'm talking about Kaboom Racks. If you want to buy, sell, or host mining equipment, you got to check out their racks. You can scan the QR code right now on your screen. It will take you directly to the Kaboom Racks marketplace, where you can connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing products easy and transparent. What about selling mining equipment? The Kaboom Racks The Kaboom Max team has your back. You can access their vast network of domestic and international customers when you sell your mining equipment with them. What are you waiting for? Start your mining utopia today. Check out Kaboom Max. All right, everybody, let's get to the culture. Let's talk about Bitcoin Day, Naples 2024.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today.
Let's go. All right, guys. So I don't know who wants to take the first question, but I did read your about page. So I kind of want to start with what is the origin of Bitcoin Day, Naples? And of course, for people that don't know, what is Bitcoin Day in Naples?
Well, the origin, it started in Omaha, Nebraska. The founder of Bitcoin Day lives in Omaha, and he was wanting to do something to sort of protest the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting. So he wanted to hold this Bitcoin conference right at the same time to bring Bitcoiners into Omaha, and while the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting was going on. So it was a Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger sort of punch in the face. So that's how it all started, and then we work with local meetup groups, and when I first got involved with Bitcoin Day, I had just finished working with Greg Foss on a small little panel at a TradFi conference, as a matter of fact, and Greg's next appointment or next appearance was going to be at Bitcoin Day in Sioux Falls, and he's the one that got me interested in the Bitcoin Day events. So I contacted the founder, and we organized the Bitcoin Day Naples 2023 conference, and it went off so well that it was just a no-brainer to do it again, and hopefully we'll be doing it again every year. So we have well, I'll stop there.
Love it. Love it. It's such a good origin story.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, Opti, could you scroll up? Because guys, you do want to get your tickets quickly. This is happening this weekend. It's 4 days, 11 hours, and 56 minutes away. So if you live in Florida, you want to get your tickets quickly, use promo code SIMPLY, gets you a nice little discount. Get your tickets now.
Yeah. All right.
We put out a New Year's Day special, we made 21 tickets available at the $242 price level, and I think there's still 3 or 4 of those tickets left, so you can still have a chance to get in under that last minute price point if you jump in today.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So what can people expect at the conference? Or it's not really a conference. It's more a meeting?
No, we call it a conference.
Okay.
Yeah. Jack, you want to take a stab at that? What are they going to get when they get there?
Well, they're going to learn something new about Bitcoin like every day. That's part of why the whole thing was created. And yes, a big nod out there to Edward, our founder, of course, for kind of sticking it to the Berkshire Hathaway whatever meeting. But in the meantime, Bitcoin Day is designed to kind of have some people get together and get to know each other a little bit. And so we're trying to ride kind of an interesting rail between being a big session and a big show and circus, which are all wonderful things to do, of course. And yes, we've come from like a background of the meetups kind of schedule, and a lot of great local meetups that happen to be here in the Southwest Florida region where we're based. And the vibe is really good, and the design is with an incredible lineup of great names and great talents. The style of it is everybody's kind of in the same room and almost at the same table, and the idea is to kind of meet and get together, share some content, but mostly connect and kind of make it a nice focused day of making some friends and swapping some good ideas and being inspired to move forward. In the
Yeah,
name of Bitcoin.
so we won't be carting the speakers off behind the scenes into a green room after they're up on stage. All the speakers will be in the room with the plebs all day long. We have the room set up banquet style, so you can sit at a table with Gary Cardone or with Nico or any of the speakers that are up there. Stephen Lupka from Swan. You can mingle with them and hang out, and you have a real opportunity to meet these experts. And hey, if you have a startup business or something like that, you might get an opportunity to pitch your business to one of these VCs that are in the room as well.
Love it. And then Nico, let's have you talk about it. You've been here before. You're gonna be there.
Yeah, man. I had a great time last year. I was on a panel. I was talking about Bitcoin in the state of Florida, and it was just really, really exciting just to meet everyone. Had a chance to meet the CEO. To add to what John and Jack was saying, I had a chance to meet the CEO of IBEX while I was there, right? Because the event it's set up in a way where you can discuss it. Everyone's in the same place. It's not like, there's a backstage and then you're just carted away and you can no longer access that person. Everyone's just hanging around. Greg Foss was just in the lobby, just like drinking coffee and stuff. So, some of your, favorite Bitcoiners that you see at events or at podcasts, you have the opportunity to go up to them, spark a conversation with them, pick their brain on something. If you have any doubts or concerns on anything that's going on, it's a great opportunity not only to, ask them personal questions, but also to network, right? Like if you're trying to get into the Bitcoin industry, this is a great event for you to potentially ask, some people that have been established in the industry, how they got a job in the industry, how they could potentially, start a business, the contacts that you're going to meet there. These are some very, very big names that have very, very big influences in the industry. And I'm also very excited about my panel, which is going to be called Bitcoin and the Economy. It's going to be with Lawrence Lepard, Teresa Morrison, Mark Hinley, and Bitcoin Ben. So it should be awesome. It's, of course, I think the title is self-explanatory, Bitcoin and the Economy. I'm very, very glad that the ETF got approved when it got approved, because that is going to be a very, very interesting topic, how the different approaches from the asset managers, whether that's the Vanguard CEO or the BlackRock ETF CEO. Imagine asking these legends, how they feel about that. That's going to be a very, very interesting discussion. I can't wait to hear what Larry's going to say, because he's going to go absolutely, bananas on the Vanguard CEO. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about this. Really looking forward to not only my panel, but also just getting an opportunity to hang out with John, hang out with Jack, and hang out with all these awesome Bitcoiners at this great event. I can't recommend it enough. Guys, if you're in Florida, or if let's say you want something to do this weekend, January 20th.
Maybe you want some good weather.
You want some good weather. Escape the cold.
Get out of the snow.
Exactly. Use promo code Simply. I was going to bring Claude, but he canceled on me. So I'm going to bring Isaac, who's a member of Simply Bitcoin. And he's going to be he's going to be coming with me. So it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Wait,
Nico, can I ask one more question?
Jump in.
Since we got these guys here, I did notice the keynote is Bitcoin and boomers, and we get a lot of people that give us flack because we constantly give the boomers flack. So maybe you guys can talk about this. What's this top going to be about? And maybe if there is some boomers out there watching Bitcoin, Simply Bitcoin, and they're like, man, these millennials keep talking smack about me. What would be your advice to them?
Yeah, the boomer panel, it's going to be a funny lineup. It's going to be at the end of the day, by the way, and we're expecting everybody to be nice and casual and relaxed about it. But I think the funny thing about it is that I noticed amongst this group that none of us ever talk, being boomers, being Bitcoiners, we never talk about the old life, about who we used to be before Bitcoin. It's kind of like this fascinating evolution that has kind of worked their way into at least this group that we get to deal with. And there's going to be plenty of them in the room, not to mention not just panel. But I think that's kind of like, in a way, the essence that we're trying to share. There's a lot of fascinating, angles for it. There's kind of an older sect. Is that the way to say that when you're talking about the boomers? That were kind of came up and trained on a particular model and this and that, and now it's like, oh, what? I'm willing to really open up and take a look at things a different way. Well, the people that are on that panel, and of course an awful lot of them in the room, a lot of wealth management types and whatnot that John has pulled together, they are all starting to see it, and starting to see it from a whole different angle of the horizon, and that's kind of, I think, what we're after right there. If that made any sense.
No, yeah, 100%. Love it. Yeah, jump in, John.
Oh, I was just going to say, we hope that they will share their wisdom with us as people who have lived their lives for many decades, and like Jack said, they've made this transition from who they once were as TradFi people, or just your basic humans who grew up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they've all of a sudden had an epiphany because of Bitcoin and changed their lives. So we hope to hear from them about why that is, and what about Bitcoin inspires them.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I think Jack said it best, that if people can kind of, we say it all the time, Bitcoin humbles you. And if people can humble themselves and realize, oh, wait, there is something new happening, and maybe I should look into this, instead of just being like, oh, I know how the world works, and this is all a toy, and these kids don't know what they're doing. And it's just awesome to see the olive branch being lifted and supporting everyone that wants to get on Bitcoin. It's like, guys, there is an opportunity for everyone here. Yes, on a life cycle, maybe we will be in the game longer, but there's enough for everyone, and there's enough price exposure in the next couple of years so that everyone can profit and enjoy the fruits of Bitcoin. So absolutely love it.
Yeah, 100%. John, I wanted to ask you, what panel are you looking forward to the most? If you say Bitcoin boomers, forgive me if I start laughing.
Actually, I'm really interested in the Bitcoin and risk management panel. That's kind of a new twist.
Could you pull that
in
up,
the
Opti?
Bitcoin game?
Yeah, I got it right here.
What's that? Oh yeah, with Gary Cardone, John Devine, Chris Sullivan, Gabe Higgins, and Rosa Shores. These are not. I mean, Gary has really made a big name for himself, and he's only recently come into the Bitcoin world. But these other folks are working on interesting products that will help institutions and corporations use Bitcoin as a tool for managing economic risk. And so it's new to me. I don't really quite understand it all. But these folks are going to really tell us a lot about that and give us some details, help us understand. We might be able to start bringing Bitcoin into corporate treasuries as a common risk management tool.
Definitely. Yeah, guys. So if there's anything you want to share last minute.
Wait. That was John's favorite panel.
Oh, okay, Jack. Yeah, Jack.
What is your favorite panel?
Oh, well, I'm gonna. Oh man, they're all so good. But I'm gonna go with my bias, which is the one I get to host at the end of the day, and that's the Boomer Gang. And that's right, because let's see. In fact, there was something Foss said about it. He's like, when everyone's sitting there like nodding their heads in agreement, then someone's not thinking. And I feel like that is the funniest thing about the collection of people, at least, well, on pretty much every panel and everyone that we're planning on having there. It's been absolutely fascinating talking to all these different personalities. And I can see some of the comments are giving grief about Gary and this and that and the shitcoin, this, that. But And that's absolutely right. And that's why we're going to stick to what I just said. We're not all going to sit there and nod our heads at the same time. We're not doing the echo chamber game. And that is our kind of our goal from the get-go when we open, from the morning and then the first act of the day and all the way out to the boomers and of course into the after party, where there's going to be a lot of good healthy disagreement and whatnot, but at least different perspectives on how to come together and move forward. So that's my take.
And let me
Love
ask you
it.
something. Why was that panel named Boomer Bitcoin Boomers? Like what was your thinking behind that?
Well,
Slap that on there. Yeah.
Yeah, that came up. That started last year. That we did that at our Bitcoin Naples last year, Bitcoin Day Naples last year, and it was just because we had 4 or 5 boomers that were on our speaker panels, and somebody, I can't even remember who, I think it may have been Edward, came up with the idea, hey, this would be a great way to have these wise older Bitcoiners share their experience with the group. And they were all like influential, interesting characters, and bringing them all together on one panel was just a fun idea.
Love it.
100%.
So I got to do one more shout out. I don't know if you guys in your audience are familiar with the BTC trading cards.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the characters on the newer version of the BTC trading cards is Mother Satoshi, and so we're super excited to have Mother Satoshi as the moderator for the opening panel, the Bitcoin and Money panel. So she's going to talk to her panelists about the fundamentals of Bitcoin and why Bitcoin is a better money. So I think it's a great character to have join us.
I think you cut out during the end, but yes, Mother Satoshi, aka Lola Burnett, Bob Burnett's wife, amazing. I was honored to have both of them at my wedding in Vegas. So really looking forward to that panel and just this Bitcoin celebration, this Bitcoin event. And unlike last year, there's going to be 2 members of Simply Bitcoin coming to Bitcoin Naples this year. So really excited for it, guys.
Hey, wait, Nico, before we go, we got to highlight this comment. Shouts out to XX. He goes, Nico, laugh at BTC boomers and the $6 trillion in asset at your own peril.
I'm not laughing at them. I'm not laughing at them. I'm just like, it's just absolutely hilarious that you guys don't even try to mask it or nothing. You're just like Bitcoin boomer panel, bah. That's what I find funny. I'm not trying to make I absolutely love you guys hold all the money. That's the reality.
Yeah, it's important for everybody to realize that it's not just the young audience, that it's not just the millennials and the Gen Zers who are Bitcoiners. It's important for everyone to realize that people our age and older are also, there's a lot of them out there that are in the game and believe in Bitcoin and understand what it means to the world. So boomers, we need everybody to know that that there's an older generation that is also on board with this.
Couldn't agree more.
100%. And I'll even add to that. I think the boomer generation is going to be the most influential in terms of the money inflows going into Bitcoin, because it's the generation that holds the lion's share of the wealth, specifically the boomers and the Gen Xers, right? The millennials and Gen Zers, in percentage terms, they don't hold a lot. They don't hold a lot of the world's wealth. Like, that's just the reality. So yeah, it is a big deal.
Our parents are living so much longer; they're not able to pass it down to us yet.
It's true. But now there's an ETF. And they're advertising it in certain ways. Anyways, I do want to thank our guests. Guys, thank you so much for coming on today. Guys, if you want to buy your tickets, do it right now, because the event is this weekend. Go to bitcoinday.io/Naples24. You can use promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a discount. Jack and John, it's been an honor. Looking forward to seeing you guys over the weekend.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you gentlemen coming on the show. All right, Opti, I think we're going to wrap it up. It's a good episode. Starting
another day in the books.
Starting Monday off strong. We appreciate you all. I think we peaked at 500 live viewers across all platforms. So shout out to our Twitter audience, our Rumble audience, our YouTube audience. Thank you all. We really appreciate it. Guys, check out our new sponsor, Scott's Build a Mine Bootcamp. If you want to learn how to start a Bitcoin mine, literally from A to Z. I know there's a lot of free information out there. Sign up for the free webinar. Go to his website. There's a link in the video description. He'll literally show you how to do it. He has like 6 years of experience. So definitely check that out. Guys, we love you. My producer will kill me if I don't do this. Check out our merch if you want to support the show. Scan the QR code right now. Go to simplybitcoin.com. You can get yourself t-shirts, hoodies. There's a discount as well, and we're coming out with new merch also. Guys, if you enjoyed the show, smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution is share Bitcoin content, share Bitcoin culture, go to Bitcoin events like the Bitcoin Day Naples this weekend, share Bitcoin music, just the saying, the thing that I always say at the end, which is at the end of the day, politics is downstream from culture. You went over the culture, you went over this thing. Love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Peace out, everybody.